Hi everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to the SiGMA conference and for taking the time to tune into this discussion with me this afternoon. My name is Allie Bartlett and I serve as an attorney at the law firm of Bose, McKinney & Evans here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I also serve as a vice president with Bose Public Affairs Group through my firm. So today I have been asked to have a discussion with you about the growth of iGaming in the United States and specifically how iGaming is going to follow in the tracks of sports betting and how gaming laws throughout the United States are changing and will continue to change to allow new opportunities for states, operators, and all industry stakeholders. So before we get started on the iGaming discussion in particular, I think it's important to talk about the background of sports betting in the United States because it's important to understand that there was no federal prohibition on states legalizing iGaming like there was on sports betting. So if we take it back a couple of years here to 2018, 2019, recall that the United States Supreme Court overturned a law they deemed it unconstitutional that disallowed states from legalizing and regulating sports betting, with the exception of just a few that had already been engaged in that business prior to the passage of that law. So when the Supreme Court handed down that decision, the floodgates were open and states were allowed to legalize and proceed with regulating and operating sports betting. We saw a few that really took it on quickly right out of the gate, including my home state of Indiana, and a few that are still trickling along. I think we're going to still see many more come on board with sports betting in the next few years and even beyond that. I think it's important to note the major milestone that was marked when sports betting became legalized or allowed to be legalized in each of the states. For whatever reason, I think that states proceeded with sports betting before iGaming because the sports betting industry has started to create a level of comfort in these states as they've seen mobile and online operations become reality. And now that they've seen those structures be put in place, responsible gaming initiatives grow, they've been able to see geolocation at work, they've been able to see age and identity verification processes be successful. I think that's really created a level of comfort with legislators and regulatory bodies in states that are going to allow them to take the next step into the iGaming world. So I think as more states come online with sports betting, the more we're also going to see come online with iGaming. I think it's important to note that many of those states, including Indiana, that have legalized and regulated sports betting, they've got a big advantage as they move into the iGaming space for a few reasons, because they've already created a legislative, a regulatory, a contractual on the business side, and technology framework that iGaming can just kind of move into and fit right into very nicely as it comes in. So if we talk about how gaming laws are going to change, I think, the first important thing to point out is that in most every state, even if sports betting and mobile and online sports betting are legalized, most states you are still going to need to see legislation passed to specifically legalize iGaming. And then I think you're also going to see that those states will require specific regulations to be passed for iGaming. They aren't just going to build off of sports betting. I think a lot of the frameworks will remain the same and a lot of the operators will likely remain the same, but that could also create opportunities for some changes and improvements. There could be variations on the legislative side, including the number of skins or the number of operators that are allowed to come into the state. I think we could see states potentially change how they require iGaming operators to partner with land-based casinos. We will definitely see variations between the tax rate on gaming and iGaming, and then other considerations related to requirements for in-state components. We have already seen some states require that live dealer games that will be offered through iGaming platforms have a studio or have live dealers within that state. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that it's been deemed widely accepted that the Wire Act, the Federal Wire Act, only applies to sports betting. So at this point, there are not going to be the same types of Wire Act considerations for iGaming that there are for sports betting. And this would allow some additional flexibility related to server locations and create more opportunities for additional operators to partake in the landscape in states that legalize iGaming that may not have had an opportunity before if they didn't have the infrastructure or the funding potentially to locate a server and an entire operation within each state. That could also open up more opportunities, though, for regulators to be licensing employees that are remote workers that are working on these products that are in other states or even other countries. We've seen a lot of European operators, a lot of countries in the EU that are, starting to become operators in the United States, and they're then having to work through all those same regulatory and licensing processes that we see for our state's casino operators and other operators that are present here. Obviously, this is also just going to create a lot of opportunity for industry partnerships and multi-state partnerships as more states come online with things like online poker. There could be opportunities for multi-state liquidity deals. We could see just a different type of gaming come about and more opportunities for different styles of operators to partake in the industry as these things become legalized on a state-by-state basis. The final thought I want to leave you with here is that all of these new concepts continue to serve the same purpose in the industry, though. The more advancement we see in these spaces, they're going to allow the industry to grow and innovate, but they're also going to provide new revenue opportunities for states. They're going to allow for changes to the industry landscapes and partnerships that we see. I think we'll continue to see, as we have for the past few years, a lot of M&A activity in the industry. And it's going to be a benefit for the industry as a whole, not just for the online industry, but this can, as we all know, create opportunities for new partnerships with brick and mortar casinos and to bring just a new style of player to those casinos that they haven't seen before. We can all see from the data that's widely available that online gaming participants are largely not the same players that we see in brick and mortar casinos. So it really gives those companies a chance for a new marketing audience and a chance to just draw people to their facilities to enjoy other amenities even that they haven't had before. So as we move down this path, I think it's important to remember that while states have been able to legalize iGaming this whole time, sports betting has really been the thing that's opened up the gates to the growth of that industry. I think it'll be a really exciting thing to see what happens next, and can't wait to be a part of it. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email, and I'd be happy to connect. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your conference.